Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to the Break Vape podcast. I'm your host, Tami Ernst. I am a life coach and a former vapor. Today, I am actually a guest on someone else's podcast. I am with Jay Veit. He has a podcast called Cake and Conversation, and I'm so grateful to be on today. So take it away, Jay.
Ooh, on with Flan.
On with Flan.
Flan is a dessert. The other one you mentioned was baked Alaska. Do you remember the first time having a baked Alaska? Because it's not very common.
I think I had baked Alaska in a restaurant, and it's an ice cream that has a dough inside that you bake it with an egg white crust over it. Super labor intensive, but it's so good.
Really good.
So Jay has a podcast called Cake and Conversation where he just gets people's favorite dessert and asks them what they like, and then have a really chill, laid-back conversation while eating dessert. So today we're eating flan, which is my other favorite dessert.
It's good. It's like adult pudding.
Yeah, like adult pudding.
Somebody asked, what's a creme brulee or what's flan? I'm like, it's pudding for grown-ups.
Yes.
Have your pinky in the air when you
How do you do all these podcast interviews and have one favorite dessert? Do you have one or?
I don't. I think growing up was always my go-to birthday dessert was cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know that cheesecake wheel you get from like H-E-B or Walmart where it's got the little, like a couple slices of each flavor?
Mm-hmm.
I would just have that, I feel like, most years. And then I'm not a picky eater, and I like to be adventurous. So as I got older and even started doing this show, it's cool. I don't have to make the choice. You pick the dessert, and I still get to eat it. Instead of me having to think, what do I want today? So I don't think I have a favorite dessert now, but I've learned to really enjoy other desserts I wouldn't normally ever get. Like carrot cake. I love carrot cake.
Ooh, carrot cake is good.
Yeah, it's delicious.
That's a good one.
Because people, you just automatically think, like as a kid, you're like, vegetable cake? I don't want nothing to do with that. That sounds stupid. When you don't know, like when you have an uneducated palate. But then you're like, wait, it's cinnamon, apples, raisins, some kind of like buttercream or cream frosting. Like, it's delicious.
Put it all in there.
Yeah. I think the most interesting one or random was my second episode. My first guest, he did lemon bars.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, lemon bars. Yeah, it was interesting, or I wasn't expecting it. But the cool story was, like, he had been locked up, and he got, like, lemon bars as a treat or whatever. Like, once a week, he could spend his commissary on lemon bars. So, like, psychological-wise, it became, like, a comfort blanket. So that was pretty cool, because I'm like, why lemon bars, dude? Nobody chooses those. And he's like, oh, da-da-da-da, this is why. And I was like, okay, I'm going to like doing this show then. So.
I can see that because I love the tanginess of those. Okay. Yeah, those are really good.
Yeah, so you're cool with mixing it up too. It's not always just sweet. You're okay with a little tart.
Oh my gosh, when you asked me what my favorite dessert was, I had to think. I'm like, oh, okay, let's pick out of like the top 10,000.
Right. Yeah, I also tell people sometimes too, like really snack-wise, I like gummy bears. Or what are they called? The Lifesaver gummies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that counts as a dessert. Like my buddy last week was like, it's kind of a snack and not a dessert. And I'm like, that's sweet. I guess you can't call an M&M a dessert either. So, okay, cool. So yeah, you host this show. It's what's it called? Break Vape.
Break Vape.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how long would you say you were a vape smoker?
Oh my gosh, I specifically vaped for over 3 years, and I grew up as a kid having people in my family smoke. So not my mom specifically, but like granny and aunts and just everybody around me a lot of the time smoked cigarettes when I was growing up. And I think I started picking them up around the age 11.
Cigarettes?
Yes.
Good job.
No.
Start them young.
No, yeah, I did. I pick them up, and I think the very first time I ever smoked a cigarette, I was 11 years old. And now being a mom and having a 7-year-old, it just totally just makes my brain go insane thinking about that. So then I smoked cigarettes on and off kind of throughout junior high and high school, and early college. I actually really vividly remember that I wanted to quit smoking cigarettes. I just had the smell kind of like in my hair and on my clothes, and I thought to myself, this is a really gross habit. I flushed them down the toilet. I was like, I don't want to smoke anymore. And I was a non-smoker for a very, very long time, like probably a decade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably a decade. And then years ago, I was at a music festival, and everybody's hanging out, we're camping, we're having a great time, and somebody handed me a vape, just like a normal nicotine vape. It's like strawberry flavor or something, and they're like, here, try this. I was like, oh, sure, okay. So Night was fun. Party was awesome. I woke up in the morning, still had the vape on me. Fast forward, at least 3 years later, still had the vape on me.
Still have the vape.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like specific flavors you liked or brands you always had to go to, or is it like whatever I get my hands on right now?
I never committed to actually getting like one of those big, huge handheld devices. So
Like the computer-looking vape thing. I always thought those were crazy.
those are really high-tech looking. Most of mine were disposables. There's so many different brands, I don't even remember. But, you know, most of them you can charge with a laptop charger.
Yeah, the little like mini USB or whatever.
Yeah, and they had all the flavors, you know, like pina colada and mango and all these flavors that just sounded yummy and tasted yummy. And some of the vape pens, when you smoke them, they light up. And
Damn marketing.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
yes. One of my first episodes on my podcast, I really resonated with my listeners. And I was just like, listen, like it is a choice to vape or not. However, you're a victim of vaping. I don't think it's your fault because vaping is a carefully curated billion-dollar addiction. When you look into all the marketing and the science that goes behind it, and now big tobacco is going after our youth and our kids the same way that they used to do with cigarettes. Yeah, and there's a yummy, disgusting chemical called diacetyl in all of those flavored vapes. That's what gives it that sweet flavor and also causes something called popcorn lung, which doesn't sound or look very good.
There's no such thing as like caramel popcorn lung. It's all bad.
Yeah.
Explain popcorn lung to me. What does that do?
Popcorn lung is an inflammation of the lining of the very small alveoli inside of your lungs. That's one of the disorders that can be caused by vaping. And then another one is called EVALI, which stands for E-Vaping Associated Lung Injury. EVALI is more common, not just with nicotine vapes, but more common with THC vapes. And that one has a chemical in it called vitamin E acetate. And so over 68 people in the U.S. so far have died directly from EVALI.
Oh, wow. That's like a big number.
Yeah, and yeah, Jay, and what's crazy about that number too is those are pre-pandemic numbers.
Also, it's definitely increased since the pandemic because when you're sitting at home, nothing to do, stress levels are higher, panic is higher, you're going to lean on your crutch more.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So right before COVID hit, people actually started getting sick and dying, and the doctors were trying to figure out what was going on. They actually didn't have a name for this lung disease that came up, and so they would have people come in, and it looked like what would look like pneumonia, where you have all of this tissue damage on your lungs, but usually pneumonia is specific to one side of your chest, like one side of your lungs, and this damage was in both lungs. So it was something brand new they had never seen before, directly related to vaping, so they named it EVALI.
Okay.
And we don't know since pre-pandemic levels what the death toll is up to yet.
There just hasn't been enough testing done, like not a large enough sample size, I guess.
If anybody listening knows these numbers, please send me an email because I would love to know.
So when was it, how long have you, I know you started the podcast, we're looking into it in November. How long have you been not smoking? When were you able to?
I quit vaping shortly before November of 2022, and I started the podcast immediately afterward.
Would you say it's like a good replacement, like at least for a mental replacement, like a substitution, right? Like, okay, I'm not doing this. How can I focus on like busy time or tense time on something else?
It was not so much that, but I mean, I guess I could see why you would say that. But for me, starting the podcast was because I used to vape because I thought that vaping helped with stress. And I was thinking, okay, I'm human, I'm stressed out, so I'm gonna vape. And then I learned that vaping actually causes stress via a dopamine hijack that takes place in our brains, and it causes stress. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. And then at the same time also, I had gotten surgery on my wrist, and I asked the doctor, I was like, is vaping really that bad? Because I just hear all the time that, you know, people switch from cigarettes to vaping, and it's really not that bad for you. And this doctor is like, you need to look up popcorn lung and something called EVALI. So as soon as I learned all this, I was just overwhelmed with information about how really how terrible it is and how little knowledge there is about it for the majority of people who do vape. And then I just felt like I really needed to spread awareness around it. So it took me a while to quit. I mean, I definitely tried and failed flat on my face a few times trying to quit.
Make it like a day or two and then go back to it, and then maybe like a week and then fall back into it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm always telling my listeners on my podcast, you know, if you're not failing, you're not trying. It's totally fine to fail forward. When I was trying to quit, every single time that I would try to quit and then fail, I would write down what I did well and what I think that I did not do well. And I actually wound up creating my own step-by-step system on how to quit and how to not go back. And then that evolved into a course that I now teach to people one-on-one.
Okay.
So I do that as a coach, and it's just a lot of unique tips and tricks.
Do you feel like getting to talk to other people going through that similar issue, you've been able to learn from them as well? Or at least be able to relate to them for sure, but anything you might have learned from somebody you were coaching, like, ooh, that might, you know, maybe not necessarily a technique, but...
For sure. So 2 things that come to mind that I wouldn't have thought of. I had one gal I was coaching, and I was asking her, you know, what annoys you the most about vaping? And she said, well, actually, I am going to go get this facial, and I guess what they do is they kind of laser your skin, and for your tissue to repair, it's harder to repair if you have nicotine or anything like that in your system. And so she's like, specifically because I want to look gorgeous with my facial, she said, I need to quit vaping. So that was one that I never would have thought about. And then the number one most common reason I've come across with all the people that I've talked to and interviewed about vaping is they don't want to waste money on it.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, it gets really expensive.
I smoked cigarettes maybe for like a year or 2 years, where it got to maybe like a pack a day or close to a pack a day. It was like 17, 18, 19 years old. And I remember one day, and I also smoked weed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would smoke both of them. So just the money alone. One day I remember waking up, and at the time, I didn't have any money until I'd worked again like later that night. But I couldn't wake up and go buy a pack of cigarettes. It was $5 a day at the time, you know. And even now, like I'll see prices sometimes now that I don't smoke. I'm like, what's it, like $8 for the same? You know, obviously prices go up, but.
Especially 2023 inflation.
Yeah, geez, I got lucky. I guess being able to still smoke weed, not smoking weed as consistently as I was cigarettes, because you couldn't just smoke wherever, like step outside, take a break. But I got lucky that I was able to just, cigarettes were cold turkey, you know? And like over the years, maybe if I've been like hammered drunk at 3 a.m. with somebody, I've tried a cigarette or I'll put them out. I can't even finish a full one. I was like so glad that I was able to at least quit that.
Yeah, isn't it great those days are behind you?
Yeah, for sure. Now my thing is going through and like drinking, making sure I don't drink all the time, you know. And I can go days where I'm not drinking, and all of a sudden on a Friday night, maybe my thing is like no discipline, like with binge. Like I can go be fine and not drink, like I'm not having withdrawals, but then all of a sudden I'm at the bar and it's like, okay, I'm gonna get a beer and a shot, and then after 2 beers, I'm like, I'm gonna switch to Tito's, but my shots are tequila. And after like 4 hours and you're 15 drinks in, you know, it could be a problem.
I can see that, yeah.
Anytime I stopped, that's how I started the show too, was going through a sober stretch. And I always replace mine. I'll start drinking a lot of Topo Chico or like sparkling water. And I just call it virgin vodka, because you still get that, like we're talking about crutches, right? I'll still get that burn with the carbonation, and there's no sugar or bad stuff in there. It's just mineral water. But yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought this up too, because whether it's weed or alcohol or whatever else our listeners are going through on your side and on my side, most of that stuff comes down to, okay, if you go out and have some drinks, you're going, to a concert or whatever every once in a while, that's one thing. But when it comes down to addiction, that's a whole different thing that you really have to face. And, specifically talking to vaping, if somebody wants to quit, I can help them, but if you just absolutely do not want to quit, then you're not going to quit. That's how it is with any addiction. And I think to expand on that too, just to make it broader into whether it's alcohol or smoking pot or whatever you're doing.
Gambling, sex, anything.
Yeah, gambling, over internet porning, I don't know, over Netflixing, over whatever you're doing. In the life coaching industry, we call this buffering. I learned this buffering definition from an amazing life coach. Her name is Brooke Castillo. I follow her and her podcast. When it comes to buffering, it's just anything that you're doing not to really feel your feelings, right? So that could be overeating, over drinking, over watching porn, over Netflixing, over exercising, over working.
Being at Starbucks every day.
Yeah, I mean, and just anything where you're buffering to where you're not feeling your feelings. So what I teach my clients when I'm working them is, here's the secret sauce. Really, if you want to quit vaping, you have to change the way that you think and feel your feelings. And then I help them come up with a process of how to do that. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think so many people struggle with addiction in some form or another.
Everybody's addicted to something.
And we just have to spread awareness around it and make sure that it's not some taboo topic.
Stigmatized, yeah. You don't want to feel shame for having a problem when a lot of the time it's mental or an actual, like a chemical imbalance in your brain that causes it. Can be a sickness or a disease,
Yeah, true. Amen to that.
One thing that I feel like helps me, like sometimes we'll put a lot of pressure on ourselves, like, oh, I'm never drinking again. I feel like you've already lost. Or, hey, I'm not drinking this whole for 80 days. Like, you're putting that limit. Then it can create stress instead of supposing to help stress. I'm like, I'm not going to do it today. And then tomorrow comes. Okay, cool, I'm not going to drink today. And then day at a time, all of a sudden, you're 6 weeks deep. I feel like some people, like a New Year's resolution, I don't necessarily agree with those anyway. It's like, okay, I'm not drinking this year. Yeah, okay, good luck. I hope you don't. But it's unrealistic. Say you're not going to drink, especially if you're a really bad alcoholic. Cool, you drink when you wake up, make it till noon, and then have a shot. And that's still a small victory. Oh, you got it noon? Tell yourself, okay, I can make it till 5.
Baby steps.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, boom, like you're not, that's another like a cliche example, but like you don't just build a house all in one day. It's like, cool, here's the floor, here's the foundation, here's the da-da-da, and all of a sudden, after time, then you have the house.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you really do have to start with baby steps. Some people, God bless you if you can, some people just do it cold turkey, and that's just the way that they're able to do it. Some people do need those baby steps. With some of my friends and my clients that I've talked to before, I'm like, okay, when it comes to your vape, maybe first just leave it at home when you make that first trip that you're going to make of the day, right? If you're going to go to the store, like do it on a weekend where you're not going off to work and you're going to leave it at home for the entire day, right? But if you're going to leave your house and purposely not have any vapes on you, if you don't think that you're addicted to vaping, try doing that and see how your body will freak out.
Do that and then go to a Walmart or a Target.
You'll probably drive right to a vape store unless you have your quit plan completely, concisely detailed out, which is one of the things that I teach. And but yeah, baby steps. I mean, you just have to do it a little bit at a time. And I love to get people to a place where they can clean out their closet one day and they can find a vape in the back of their closet and hold it up and go, oh my goodness, this has zero power over me. Yeah. I absolutely have no desire to smoke this or puff on this or anything. That feels like such a liberating feeling that I love to help people get to that place and feel that feeling.
You're comfortable enough, confident enough now, like if we're outside and somebody has a vape around you, it doesn't bother you at all.
Not at all.
No issue. So I know some people, like say back in the day when cigarettes were bigger and you quit cigarettes, some people couldn't be around other smokers because they didn't want to smoke. So it's good you have that willpower. It's hard. I'm always trying to come up with some example of what it is, but there's so many humans and we're all so different, so it's hard to find one thing that somebody wouldn't be tempted to do. But it's like if you've never done crack, okay, or something like that, and it has zero power over you, and you walk past it and you see it and you just keep walking and you're like, oh no, I don't do that. That's the place where I get to with vapes and with people with vapes. It's like it has absolutely zero power over you. So in our listeners' minds, replace that terrible example with whatever it could be that has no power over you. It could be Jell-O, just whatever it is. But Flan. Oh, well, Flan I love it. But yeah, just get to a place where it's just something where you can either go to the end of the spectrum, the opposite end of the spectrum, from going from being totally addicted to it to being totally disgusted with it. That's
definitely an option that's available that some people prefer, or you can land in the middle and be completely apathetic. And with that apathy, you just don't care. It just has zero power over you, and it's a wonderful, liberating feeling.
What would you tell somebody who, like, would you tell your like former self or somebody who's 16, 17, 18, and you think they're about to start picking it up, or like, what would you, let's say, let's go 10 years in the future with your kid and you caught them or they're trying to hide it, what would be the first thing you'd tell somebody?
If it were my child,
Or there's something you could help somebody, like maybe not necessarily like get onto them because maybe that wouldn't help, but like words of advice or before they got too hooked.
So that, well, I'm specifically thinking of my child now because, you know, the way that you can influence somebody, it also has to do with how much authority that you have over their lives. So if you're a parent and you're coming from that place, I think you always should come from a place of love and empathy. You know, with my listeners, I'm always trying to be a resource and trying to educate. I'm trying to be a guide. I'm trying to be a coach. I'm never trying to lecture. When it comes with your kids, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
It's hard not to lecture them because the more you care about someone, the more you're coming from a place of fear, and that fear drives that intensity. And I just think the number one thing, like you're asking, what would I offer somebody? I would say educate yourself on it. I would educate my children. I would educate my friends. I would educate my clients. I would say, listen, you know, let's look up some pictures of people dying from vaping in different ways. It doesn't have to always kill you with a lung disease. There's a man that died in Texas because a vape exploded into his face when he was smoking it, and it flew into his jugular. And I'm sorry, it's disgusting.
No, that's just a bad way to go.
It's a horrible way to go. I feel so bad. I posted his article on my socials, but yeah, this I think he was 24 years old and he was smoking this vape. It exploded. It severed his jugular, one of the arteries, and he died.
How was that?
And I was speaking to another man on socials not too long ago that I'm going to have an interview with coming up here sometime soon. And he was smoking a vape, and a piece of the cotton came out because I don't know if you know, but if you break a vape open, if you bust it open, there's cotton.
Comes out.
Yeah, there's cotton inside.
We'll take 1 second for a quick ad break. And
Okay.
then we'll dive right back into this conversation.
I'm gonna take a bite of Flan.
Do it. Well, yeah, because it stops at 30. That's one thing too about this app. It'll just stop at 30 minutes
Okay.
for each segment. But here we can dive right back in, and that is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't like to eat when you record? When you're actually recording, huh? There were certain times where I'm like, screw it, I'm taking a bite.
It's delicious.
No, yeah, it's good. They made it yesterday. That's the thing with like HEB, at least. That's why I like getting meat from there too. You know it's fresh. Like I can almost see the guy in the back like chopping up the cow. That's why I like chunky peanut butter, right? I can still see the peanuts in there. So I know at some point it was close to the process of being real. But here, we'll dive in now. So you were talking about, we're back here with Tami, and you were just telling me about how the thing exploded, and it was something to do with, or what was about the paper part?
Oh, right. So I was talking to this young man on socials that I'm going to have on my podcast sometime soon as a guest, and the cotton part of a vape flew out and caught behind his tonsils, like in his throat, and he started choking on it. And at the same time, it made his heart rate go up like crazy, like he was going to cardiac arrest, and he started having an allergic reaction from it. Luckily, his girlfriend just happened to come and find him, and he went to the emergency room. All the doctors thought that he was on some kind of drugs other than vaping, and I think he was also on some THC. But besides that, nothing else, and he almost died from it.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It's a crazy topic.
At the same time, too, I mean, I'm sure, hopefully he quit at that point. I mean, you said you're going to have him on as a guest, or?
I am, yeah, I'm going to have him on as a guest, yeah.
That's cool. That's fun. See, so I tell people one of the best parts about doing this show for me is you get to meet people I would have normally never met. Like 2 weeks ago or something, we just both joined a random, I joined a bunch of the Facebook podcast groups or online podcast groups just to promote or learn or ask questions. And then that's how people say, how'd you meet your guest? I'm like, word of mouth. Sometimes you just send a message and you never know who's going to respond. And I'm sure that's what you like about it too. Now you'll put your info out, and then you'll get people that reach out to you. Hey, I want to schedule a session or schedule a coaching, and you would have never came across them if it wasn't for doing this.
Definitely, yeah. I came across your, I think we're in one of the podcasting groups on Facebook, and I thought your idea for a podcast was just so cool and relaxed, just cake and conversations. Yeah.
So I like when it's not like cake and interview questions, you know. It's like, nah.
Right.
Some people get so, well, I've told this story before on here, but how I got the idea, I wasn't drinking at the time, and I was mainly a day bartender at a BJ's brew house. And I'd still get off work and still go to the bar, because that's one thing, too, that would help me kind of, it's like facing your demons, I guess. It's like, people will ask, how can you be sober, be a bartender? It's like, where is it in the job description that I have to drink? But anyway, they're like, why would you go to the bar when you're not drinking? Well, one thing I would also do sometimes, if I knew where their cute bartender was working, the way to they don't like to hit on bartenders. It's usually tacky. Like, as a guy, I know that. I don't like to hit on bartenders when I'm working or when I'm not working. Anyway, I'd get cake and milk. It's just an icebreaker, a conversation. You can go to a bar and get cake and milk. So anyway, I'm not drinking. I go to this restaurant, sit at the bar, pretty bartender, order cake and milk. Right off the bat, they're like, what? Anyway, she was real busy this particular day, like really, really running around, stressed out. I'm like, hey, you want some cake? They're going to say no. Like, I'm not eating this stranger's food. But like 5 or so minutes, she comes by with a spoon and just whoop, and you see that light bulb in her face, like, oh. And then she just started talking about her day, life, and that's when I had that light bulb moment, like, oh, people are relaxed or more willing to be vulnerable. We got something sweet. It's almost like the same thing, like a dopamine or something in the brain.
Exactly.
So I could be talking to somebody, like say me and you were talking off air, and it's a good conversation, and not you specifically, but then I hit record, some people will freeze up or get nervous or be like, oh, I just said something stupid. But if I put some cake down, they're less likely to worry about all that. They're just like, oh yeah, and like it's your favorite dessert or something. I always ask, so growing up, eating it, was it something with your mom or grandma or, like when you first sat down, I talked about the baked Alaska, like when was your first one? So yeah, it's a way to get people's guard down. Because none of us are like famous celebrities that are used to like paparazzi, like we press record, it's like, oh crap, everybody can hear me now. Or like video record, right? Like, oh, people are watching. So people will get all stiff. It's like, no, just eat some cake and chill. It'll be fine.
Yeah, what a great idea. I love that idea for a podcast.
It's fun. Yeah, and then it's unique. Like I got it out. Have you seen the Hot Ones challenge on YouTube? Where the guy sits down with celebrities and they go through like a different wing sauce and he's interviewing them about like movies and stuff.
I think I might have seen that on TikTok.
Kind of got an influence from that. And there's a Netflix show with Seinfeld. It's comedians in cars getting coffee. And he just meets up, each episode's like 20 or 30 minutes. He meets up with a guest and he'll get a different car, like an old classic car that he thinks fits their personality. But they just drive around, interview and just talk. And it's more conversational style.
Oh,
meet up at a coffee shop. So I kind of combine those two. I'm like, okay, I want to do the same thing. I want to have my own little niche with dessert. And then at the end of the day, that's just a vehicle for us to tell our stories.
Yeah, what a great idea. Growing up, my mom always made banana pudding from scratch, which has got to be one of my other favorite desserts.
Vanilla wafers too.
Yep, it's actually the recipe that's on Vanilla Wafers box. She just altered it a little bit to make it her way, but it's been around forever. And so she taught me that when I was a kid, how to make it, so I can make the vanilla pudding from scratch. And
you still do that now?
I do that now, yeah. Every family function, we do that.
The next time we come, when I have my brother on your show and you can talk about his vaping thing, we'll have some of your banana pudding. Yeah, you have to bring some banana pudding then.
Yes, if your brother would like some help vaping, send him my way. We'll get him, if he wants to. He's got to want it, right? If he wants to quit, then we'll get him to a place where he'll have a vape-free life going forward.
Also, when you meet up with somebody, like say you're meeting up with somebody for the first time, as compared to the next day, you've seen this person 6 or 7 times. Do you have different, like a step plan, I guess? Like, oh, I'm talking to you for the first time. This is what we're talking about. I've seen you a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there like a step-by-step process? Like, hey, day 3, we're going over this, or...
I do have a step-by-step system that I use, yeah. So we definitely go over a specific quit plan that is unique to that person, and we go over dopamine shifting, and we learn all the science behind it. And because everybody's different, every human has a different reason for wanting to quit and different crutches that they might need while they're going through their quitting process. So I'm not a big proponent of trading one bad habit for another. So I have like some tips and tricks that I use to help people quit without replacing it with another bad habit. Yeah, and then I also just with coaching in general, it's just such a beautiful tool to to have with people, because I'll take somebody into consideration and I'm like, okay, aside from vaping, what else is going on in your life? You know, what other challenges are you facing? Let's break it down into health, wealth, and relationships. Out of those 3 categories, where do you want to improve? What's stopping you from improving? You know, how can I help you get to that level of seeing yourself from 10 years from now, where you're going to look back and say, thank you that I changed that thing that was not working for me in my life.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to book you or reach out to you, how do they go about it?
They can send an email to hello@breakvapes.com. That's hello@breakvapes.com. I'm working on a website right now. I do have a how to quit vaping course coming out in the future also. Right now it's in beta, so that way it'll be more accessible to a lot of different people if they don't want to do one-on-one coaching. I love one-on-one coaching. It's my jam. So if anybody wants to coach, they can just send an email, and I'll explain exactly how coaching works and answer any questions that they have.
So yeah, when you figure out the website, let me know. I always know, like people say, it's not that hard. There's like a couple of different platforms. They pretty much build it for you. I guess besides the money part, like I want to build it from scratch and know how to work it, know how to add content too.
I think I was asking you about your website, and you're what are you learning how to code, or what are you?
I guess it would be like that. I don't know. I need to learn how to code. I want to build it from the ground up the right way. I guess we can pay people to do it, and then they teach you how to access it or something. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want a website though.
You're literally getting out there with like the hammer and the nails, and tech speaking, right, and building up your website. Is it WordPress that you were learning?
Yeah, it would be WordPress.
WordPress.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. Yeah, I need to get back into that too, because I like to write, so I'd want to have a website where it features like a writer's corner, whether it's me or I could feature other writers on. You know, they come in and post their poem or short story for the day. But then also have like, so you're the guest this week on this show, like there'd be a separate page featuring all of your info and how they could reach you and have your story, and like a merch page, and then have links for the shows on, you know.
Yeah. So. As a writer, what kind of writing do you find the most enjoyable? Are you more fiction, nonfiction?
As a writer, I do poetry, and it's usually not it's almost more prose, I guess, than poetry is what a lot of people say. 'Cause it's not like it's not always like A B or ABC rhyme scheme. I like to just kind of be, it's like short and simple and to the point, and it's gonna rhyme at certain times. But I guess prose is just more like the written word. And I've done some personal essays. I just haven't released really any of those. Like I'll share them with friends, but that'd be another thing for the website, is just being able to put all of your content on there. You know?
Gotcha. So on my end, if any of my listeners happen to be podcasters and want to reach out to you and maybe inquire about collaborating with Cake and Conversations, how would they get a hold of you?
So my Instagram is cake_and_conversation. My email is andyveit08. So it's going to be ANDYVEIT08@hotmail.com. Facebook is just my name, Jay Veit, if you want to go that route. So, yeah, usually Instagram or email might be the way to go. But like me and you met over Facebook, so you never know. So I like joining all these different groups. You know, all it takes is one person. You can send a DM to 1,000 famous people. Like, oh, they're famous. They're not going to read it. But all it takes is one person. Then they're a guest on your show, and then
That's true. Oh, you know what? I do have a Facebook group. I just created it though. It's kind of it's brand new, so I think there's maybe just a few people in there, but we're definitely going to build it up into a nice open space, non-judgment type of room where people can talk about the struggles and their successes that they're having with vaping. So if you just go to Facebook and type in Break Vape, then that group will pop up, and then you guys can join the group, and you can send me a message from there as well.
Sweet. Well, this has been great. I definitely want to. We'll have to meet up again for sure and do another episode to see how it's going, progressing.
Yeah.
Especially with you being newer too. Once you start building up more and more content and episodes, like I can't wait for like the next story in a month or two from now. So.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. So. Thank you, Jay. This is fun, and thank you so much for the flan. It was absolutely delicious.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that was the interview, you guys, with Jay from Cake and Conversation. I hope you guys all enjoy, and I'll talk to you next week.